Hi, this is Becky from More Than Borderline, and today I'm going to talk about mental illness and the death penalty. A man named Scott Panetti is set to die next week in Texas. A Navy vet, he was diagnosed with schizophrenia in 1978. In 1992, he killed his wife's parents during a psychotic episode. Mr. Panetti told the police that his alter ego Sarge did it, that demons were laughing at him as he was leaving the scene of the crime, and that divine intervention meant that his victims did not suffer. Mr. Panetti was obviously not in his right mind at the time, but the story sadly gets worse. He had been hospitalized 14 times in the 11 years preceding the murder, and they found him competent. How on earth do you find this guy competent with such a lengthy psychiatric history? He was allowed to represent himself at his trial, and he decided to do so by arguing not guilty by reason of insanity and that only an insane person could prove the insanity defense. He dressed in a cowboy costume, subpoenaed John F. Kennedy, Jesus Christ, and the Pope as witnesses, and he even passed up a plea deal that would have spared his life. The jury convicted him of capital murder and recommended he be sentenced to death. Some jurors have said they were afraid of him, and that's why they sentenced him to death. But the question here, which has already been answered in the case of Panetti versus Quarterman, is this man competent to die? And my argument would be no. Panetti versus Quarterman ruled that death row inmates may not be executed if they do not understand why they are being executed. Mr. Panetti believes that he is going to be executed because Satan wants to kill him for preaching the gospel. Panetti versus Quarterman also ruled that death row inmates may sue and argue that they are incompetent to be executed once the execution date is set. And Mr. Panetti's case leaves some serious doubt that he is competent to be put to death. Even the victim's daughter says this man is mentally ill and does not deserve to be executed. So why are we as a so-called civilized society doing this? Why is this man not in a hospital? And why do we think that people whose judgment is impaired to the point of Mr. Panetti's impairment, why do we think executing them is okay? It's a lot to discuss. What do you think?